So let's talk Ableton. I really wanted to make a little series of videos showing you how I set up my Ableton sets, why I set them up this way, and how you can kind of emulate some of these things. There's a lot of little neat tips and tricks and quirks and features that I build into the sets. Really, my philosophy when I build an Ableton set is I want to make it pretty much as few button pushes as possible on a Sunday morning. I don't want the MD or me or the drummer or whoever's running Ableton to have to do a whole lot and have to kind of, baby the computer the whole time. I want it to kind of do its own thing. And we can do this really easily because we plan out our services a whole lot. And you can build spontaneity into this set. You can do a lot of things, and we'll go into that. But we really can set up our transitions of our songs early beforehand because we kind of know how it's going to go, and then we set up these loop sections for our turn and greet. We've got one for our invitation and for our offering, all our host moments and things like that go into these loop sections here. And so we really don't have to hit a lot of buttons. But let me give you a quick rundown of what you're seeing right here. Some of the, like I said, the quirks and features of it and why we do it that way. So we'll kind of go through a regular service and what all these things do. The first thing that you'll notice is I have a video in my Ableton set. And you're probably going, why is there a video in Ableton? No, we don't run this on the screens. But what I have, this is our pre-roll video. And I have it here as a time reference because what we do, the way that we start Ableton on a Sunday morning is Pro Presenter actually hits the play button on Ableton. I don't have a human do it. So I dropped this video into Ableton, and Pro Presenter sends a MIDI note to Ableton that hits the play button when the pre-roll starts. So the reason I do that is this pre-roll video on Ableton, it'll be muted, but it'll play along with the one on screen so that at the exact same time they're ending and these tracks drop in at the right moment. So I set this, I set up the transition from video to tracks before Sunday, and then I don't have to have somebody having to hit that button at the exact perfect time. It just does it on its own. We don't even have to start Ableton. So the video will play, and when we get to the end of the video, Ableton's going to turn the click on with this little note right here and drop straight into the tracks without any human interaction at all, which is really nice. So we're coming up to it. You'll see it turn on the click. Here we go.
1, 2, intro, 2, 3, 4.
And that musical transition is perfect every time. That was a point in our service that was really hard to get smooth every time. And so I said, let's take the human hands off of it. Let MIDI automation take it. And it's worked beautifully ever since. I mean, it really does work beautifully. So I'll show you how to set that up later, but that's a cool little feature of what we do. It's even better because Pro Presenter is on a scheduler for the pre-roll video. So Pro Presenter fires the pre-roll video automatically, which fades our Spotify automatically and starts Ableton automatically. So we don't even really have to be present when the service starts. MIDI automation just kind of takes care of all of it. And I'll go through some of the ways you can set that up in a minute. But let me show you what the songs look like. So there's a couple things you'll notice. First, of course, we have the group here that has the actual stems in it. I do import every stem, whether we use it or not. You'll notice that I have all the stems, but some of them are muted over here. I just mute the ones I don't want and leave the ones I do want unmuted. There's a couple advantages to this. Say the drummer, as drummers do, is late for practice and we have to start our run-throughs. I can just come over here and unmute the drum track and wait for him to get there. And then mute it when he does. And then, talk to him about the importance of being on time later. But or say we want to go over a background vocal part. I can unmute that and we can listen to it. And then we can mute it again for the set. So I always leave all the tracks in. It's just really handy. It's nice to have them available. The other thing you'll notice, obviously this control channel, this is just a MIDI channel that routes MIDI out of Ableton and back into it so that it can control any function. So any button in Ableton, I can set up a note that hits that button in the timeline, like the click on off button. I have it assigned to this, which is let's see what note this is. It's a B2. So every time this hits a B2 and that triggers the click on off. So I can have that click come on automatically or turn off automatically in my timeline. which is really cool. I can also use this to create loop sections. So I can put a marker down and assign a MIDI note to that marker, and that MIDI note will be in the timeline. It'll trigger it to loop back. So that's what we do with our turn and greet section. So when our turn and greet comes, it'll go into this loop section. I'll just play the click and loop back to that every single time. So that we can be in that turn and greet with a click going as long as we want, right? So that's really cool. I've got this marker track here, or we'll start at the top. I've got a tempo track. What this is literally just an audio track, and these are audio regions that are created. And when you double click them, you can set a tempo here, and if you hit leader, every time the playhead comes across that, it'll change the tempo to that tempo. So that's how we change our tempos from song to song, right? So when we're in the video, I'll leave the click going here. It's kind of slow. It's like at, 79? As soon as it hits that pink region, it's going to change to 128. So we'll watch that happen. So now we're at 128. And it's that pink audio region that makes that happen, which is pretty nice. I've got a marker section, and this is literally just so that we can see where we're at. It's really handy for practice. It's like, jump to that pre-chorus. Okay, I can go here, you know? So that's really nice to have. I've got cues. Now, I build my own cues. I don't use the multi-tracks cues. I delete that track completely. The reason I do that is because I really want my cues to count in. So I have this MIDI channel. This is basically a drum instrument. And I put all the samples on the drum instrument right here, like a drum pad. I put all the samples.
Intro, drums.
And then I create these cues that trigger those pads, and so my cues count.
3, 2, 3, 4.
And they're responsive to tempo. So if I change the tempo of the song, the cues also change with it.
3, 2, 3, 4.
It's really handy to have counting cues, particularly if you have trouble keeping your band on the click. We don't really have that problem too much, but it's really nice if you lose your way to have that count in, because it's a lot easier to get on when you're counting into the next section. So I love the counting cues. That's something that I always do. This channel here, you'll see the main stage pad. This is neat. This sends a MIDI note to our main stage program that just triggers a pad drone during our other sections. So usually I'll extend this region to about here, so it starts at the ending. And it'll send that MIDI note to the main stage computer, which starts that pad drone automatically. So I don't have to have my keyboardist hit a button to start the pad drone. It just does it on its own, and he can start playing over it for our turn and greet, which is really sweet, right? So it'll fire that MIDI note, and it'll loop that section all the way through turn and greet. And when it's time to start the next song, I hit 2, it fires the click again,
1,
and we go into the next song. It's that easy.
intro, 2, 3, 4.
So that's pretty cool. The main stage MIDI thing is really neat if you can set up your Wi-Fi MIDI controls. So that's kind of a lot of the quirks and features that I use. Setting up the click on and off with the control channel, the looping sections, and then having MIDI communicating between different computers is like really, really super handy. So for the end of our service, when we set this up, I have these looping sections from the host comes up, and we have another pad drone there. And then when we leave, so we got this going, we're playing, and then it's time to get off stage, so we stop it. When we come back up, we go into the invitation section, which I have bind, it's key number 5. And so we can just go into our invitation loop, and we do offering at the end, and we always drop into the song, the middle of the song at the end of offering. So I have Living Hope here set up to fade in, right, on the verse section. So all I have to do, I have a key binding to O. So when it's time to drop into the offering, I hit O,
Verse,
and it fades
2,
into that verse.
3, 4.
It's really handy. And then we end the service that way. So you can see in timeline view, it's nice to set everything up in this service flow with your looping sections and all of that. So it's really worked for us well because we don't have to hit a lot of buttons. We don't have to have a lot of fuss. Everything kind of stays in tempo, and Ableton manages itself. And it also helps automate the other systems we're using, like MainStage, like ProPresenter. And all of these systems talk together, they work together, and it doesn't take a whole lot of human interaction to make it happen. So in the next few videos, I'm going to break down all of this stuff section by section, tell you how to import songs, how to build a set, what it looks like, and how to set up your templates so that it's really not a lot of work to make all of this happen every week. So next video, I'm going to talk about how we build the set, what that looks like from start to finish every week, and then we'll go into how to actually set up our templates. It's going to be fun. Here we go.